Hi, I am Raza B Reading, and I found something to read to you guys. In fact, I found something that's going to be worth probably, well, no, not probably, it's definitely going to be 2 videos worth. It's quite long, mainly in that it garners response. You'll see. This is actually me re-recording this video because I wasn't satisfied with how the first one was going. Anyway, I am trying to get back into playing D&D. I've mentioned this before, and I am currently writing some stuff up. With that being said, I want to create an environment for my players that is both enjoyable but also productive in the thing that I want to run. Whenever we start playing D&D, whenever you're a DM, you typically have a set of rules. I mean, every table does, even if they don't accept that or if they don't acknowledge that, then your rule is you have no rules. Anyway, that doesn't matter. The point is, everyone has rules. For me, I've actually been thinking about what kind of rules I want to bring to the table. And I'm doing this because, well, I'm trying to introduce more people to play D&D. I have been, well, when I played years ago, I was very big into bringing new players in. It was very much an enjoyable thing for me to do, and I get to do it again, or at least hopefully, if things go well. If you're a D&D player, then you know not everything goes as planned. With that being said, there was an infamous Reddit post about a DM who wrote down their rules that they had for their D&D game. They have since deleted that post and have remained as anonymous as possible, I guess. You can find the old YouTube videos on this because this made quite the rounds about 9 months ago. A lot of people reacted to these 44 rules. I recently found this. And the reason why I'm going to make a video on this is because, like I've already said, I'm trying to run another table, and I was thinking about my own way of conducting the table. And it just so happens that these YouTube videos that I just referenced showed up in my recommended. So I figured, after watching 5 minutes of one video, why not have us read these rules and go through them and, well, have our own little reaction. I am working on other videos. I do apologize for the delay in videos, but it's just I'd rather bring something that I feel good about than just throwing anything out there. So we're currently working on other ideas for this channel. Like I said, we want to do lore related things, and that's some of the stuff that we're working on. But in the meantime, let's stick to this stuff, because, well, you'll see. Some of these rules are fucking wild. I will give one premise or caveat, or however you want to, I guess, preface? Yeah, I'll preface one thing here. Some of these rules are actually not that absurd, but it is the attitude of the DM that makes these rules bad. And I'll explain them when we get across them. However, let's just get to it. All right? I hope you're ready. We're going to do half of these rules. In case you don't know what these are the 44 rules of D&D. If you know, you know. If you don't, now you will. All right. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. All right, here are the 44 rules of D&D. Now, I am not going to give credit to the original poster. I believe they don't want credit because after the videos kind of gained infamy on YouTube 9 months ago, they have since taken the post down, and I'm pretty sure they're inactive. But we can give credit to Flag Droid for archiving these. Now, I'm going to read these rules in a little bit of a villain monologuing voice, I suppose. We'll see how this goes, but you'll understand why. I mean, you can see them on the screen, but yes, these are pretty wild. without further ado, I'm timing turns. I don't give a fuck if it's unfair in your opinion because your spells are hard or you don't know what square to move to. You get 1 minute to know all the actions you want to take, or I skip your turn. Right off the bat, I see a pretty rough... You know what? Hold on. When we react, we'll switch. How about that? Right off the bat, I see a pretty rough rule to take. I get you want the tables to move quickly, or at least efficiently is probably the best word. But this already reads as someone who's just lost a lot of patience for people. As someone who has played with a lot of newbies, you understand that when people get to this stuff, they kind of don't know what exactly... they don't know what actions they want to take, or how they want to go about it. Especially when there's a lot of creative freeform when it comes to D&D. Hell, even a simple spell like Scorching Ray that shoots off in a line is something that can be used in a subjective way to, you know, solve a problem. And you might think of, or you might try to think of a way to use it that's not just, oh, look, me burn 4d6 points of damage, or whatever the spell damage does. I don't memorize spells for a fucking reason. There's too many things to keep track of. But yeah, this already reads as pretty rough. We're starting off in a bad way. But I will say it is understandable to want your turns to go efficiently. So it's probably better to encourage people to understand how their character works, as opposed to timing them with a fucking sand timer and going with a minute or whatever, however you're doing that. If you want harder fights, bring a second character sheet and expect to twiddle your thumbs when you die. I'm not going to baby anyone. I don't understand this one at all. If someone could explain this one, I would love that. Because that doesn't make sense to me. Bringing a second character sheet and expect to twiddle your thumbs because I'm not going to baby any... What the fuck? What does that even mean? If you called me or my roles unfair, I'll get up and go home. And if you gotta ride with me, you can find your own way home. Suck it up. Now we're starting to see a little bit of a villainous turn. I think this person is a fucking twat. From this point on, I think we can kind of rule this DM pretty fucking nuts. To just stop playing in the middle of something and not discuss things is pretty fucked up. Now, I haven't really been accused of having unfair roles. I have been accused of fudging them, but, you know, go about it however you want. Have I fudged roles? I'll never tell. To get up and just leave in the middle of a session is brutal. And also leave someone behind that came with you, which that's just wrong. You shouldn't do that to people. You're playing a fucking game. It doesn't need to be that serious. I'm going to take your character's loot away as regularly as you want it given out. Rule 3 will apply here. This is a dumb one. This doesn't make sense to me. How are you going to give, we'll say, like, rewards? Because loot is one way to put it. Whatever. How are you going to give loot away just enough times to take it away? That doesn't make sense, even in, like, a plot sort of way. That just, something about that, like, it's almost like having a zero-sum outlook on this doesn't make sense. Is there going to be, like, a thief that just comes and picks up stuff as they go to rest? I don't know. And then to call that unfair, which I think that's completely unfair. In order for characters to progress, it's not just experience that they get, but it's equipment. Equipment is very important to your character. If you don't act out any of your persuasion or intimidation or any other social checks, you fail. Before you even roll, you fail immediately because you aren't even trying and you're making the game lame for everyone else. This one is one that I actually I want that. I want people to act out their characters. I want that it's just something that I really enjoy seeing. When you see people start to RP and get really into it, it's fantastic. I think it's really good. Even if the player doesn't really think they're doing a good job, as long as they're trying, it makes me very happy. However, as someone who has played with a lot of new players, I know I keep saying that, to expect that is rough. I used to think that you should do it no matter what. But then I think back at the times when I first made characters and I had a barbarian and, you know, there's only so much you can replicate in terms of roleplay. At least when you're first starting out. It took me a while to really try to get into a character. It's just something that doesn't come completely naturally. So when I've had new players, even if I want to expect something like play out your character, I also have that reality that these people are new. They're still, you know, feeling things out. I do have little tricks I want to try with people, or at least like encourage, that I think can help ease them into it. For instance, I like one-liners, as cheesy as that might be. I also love giving the descriptive power to players when they're doing something. And the simplest way is, I think Matt Mercer does this a lot too. Like, how do you want to do that? Or how do you want to kill him? Or, you know, you give the descriptive microphone to that player. And for the one-liners thing, I like to see if the players will come up with something to say. Maybe put a quip in, or just even something as simple as praise Aristotle, like a god or whatever. If you don't pick up cues for side quests, that's not my problem. Get over yourself. It's not a video game. It's a role-playing, pen and paper-based game with miniatures. I'm not holding your hand if you choose to not pursue shit. This guy's crazy. I've come across people who have had issues with giving out side quests, and it's really stupid when you don't give your players a fair chance. And I've done this on been on both sides of this. I like to run games. There's times where players miss side quests. I've let them miss it on purpose, but I've also helped encourage them. Either way, I'm not a dick about it, or at least I try not to be. And I've been a player in games where people are sort of a dick about it and like brag about it after the session. And it's like, okay, dude, cool. But then there's also DMs who are like, yeah, but this is you could do this thing, and you know, it'd be really interesting. Let's just say your character would enjoy it. And it's like, oh, you know what? Let me, you know, pick up on that a little bit better. If you move to a square in combat, there's no takebacks. D&D is not chess. That's all I'm going to say. You tell every single person what you're doing before you do it. You don't fucking roll dice and then say you're casting Fireball. You tell us all. That rule is actually one I will fully endorse. I cannot stand it when somebody rolls dice and then says what they're trying to do. No. You're doing yourself, first off, you're doing the DM a really big disservice, and then you're doing yourself a big disservice. So when you are trying to do stuff in D&D, hell, even if it's just an attack roll, tell someone, say it. I want you to, as a DM, I want you as a player to try to emulate your character in the best way possible. What other way than to, oh, Krognard is going to swing his battle axe. Just say something like quick and descriptive, like, oh, I take my axe and I attack the knoll, and then you roll the dice. Oh, I rolled a 14. Okay, cool. The DM needs to know what you're doing so that they can come up with whatever you need for results. Now, attacking is obviously stupid. That's like easy number stuff. But when it comes to role-playing, you need to tell the DM. And even in combat, I know it's not always just attacking, but if you're casting a spell or if you're using an item and it needs a roll, say what you're doing first. So that way we can expect it. You're not going to try to give me that. How about this? That's not the best way to show a secret, like, a secret attack or like a surprise attack thing. The best way to do that is to have something up your sleeve and then say, oh, I whip out the necklace of Fireball 6 and it's got 5 pearls of Fireball. And you're like, oh, fuck. Well, you basically have a C4 charge. Anyway, yeah. Say what you're going to use your roll, or say what you're doing before you roll. It's better for everybody. Number 9. I will give out exhaustion more frequently. If you argue, go home, or you can actually fight me over it, or you can DM yourself. This person's crazy. I think they're just itching for a fight. And, okay. I don't understand this one. That's crazy. Just do it. If your table is okay with it, then they're okay with it. If they're not, they're not. Announcing this is wild to me. Every snide comment you make to an NPC will be remembered and paid back in triplicate. You all seem to believe there is little consequence. Triplicate is wild. Right? Someone's got to agree with me on that one. Triplicate? Triplicate. Triplicate? And I feel like, I don't know why, but my first thought when I read this rule was, the Telltale games, like, so-and-so will remember this. That's kind of crazy. Still, to say that every snide comment is going to get paid. This person seems like they need help. They need to not DM. Something has made them very vindictive. You will not be given a mega dungeon every session. A temple is not the size of a small city. Neither is a cave. This shit will happen when it's natural and organic. Go play some roguelike if you want that. For this to be a rule seems very strange to me. This shouldn't need to be a rule. Whatever you've mapped out should be whatever you've mapped out. Does this person play with dickhead players where they're like, oh, is the church to tier like super big? Like, what? Does it have to be? Okay. Moving on. This one just seems really bad. Just weird. The travel portion is done. You want to travel continents, doing literally whatever you want, whenever you want? Go play World of Warcraft, or play D&D with AI. I've actually played D&D with AI. It's not as bad as I thought it might be. I'm not a fan of AI by any means, especially for creative outlets, but this was with a friend who wanted to test things out, and the way he prompted it, really fun, honestly. But I don't understand what that has to do with anything. That seems like a non sequitur. Didn't make sense. And World of Warcraft? What? What? This person needs to just get away from the table. If you're late with no good reason, I'm going to half your character's hit points for the entire session. Okay, so this is something I don't agree with them at all. But when it comes to being late, also the no good reason, that's subjective. But as somebody who's played with a lot of people who have run late, and I've had sessions be canceled as we already showed up because one player had to go on a drug bender. That happened multiple times. I do think holding players accountable for something like this is important. When you are in a D&D campaign or game or whatever, however you want to put this, you are signing a social contract. Maybe I'll make a video of the D&D rules that I have. Not that that's a story for me to read out to you guys, or like even something for me. I guess I could write it down and be like, oh, hey, this is my rules. But being on time and, you know, not wasting other people's time is important as adults. We should be able to agree to that, right? If you don't show up for no good reason, and that will be determined by me alone, if no one else has the guts to say shit for fear of upsetting one another, the first time you'll find yourself losing either a whole level or up to 3 major items of your own. The second time you do it in a row, you'll be removed from the chat and the group. Full stop. I have no fucking time for people to not show up. This person's been burned. You can tell. Someone hurt this person. Someone hurt this person very badly. Very, very badly. By not showing up. And you know what? On this end, I will empathize. Again, I was in a group where somebody went on a drug bender. Same group also had somebody go to a convention randomly without telling anybody, just to hook up with a girl. That didn't end well, by the way. And I've had people just not show up because they either forgot or they didn't care. Whatever the reason is. It sucks. It really does. Especially when you're planning to have the 4, 6, or 8 hour session that you really were looking forward to. And for all of that to just crumble, it does suck. It does open your day up, but when your day was already planned for that, it's kind of bullshit. So, rule 15. If you get too stoned or drunk to play, I will go home without warning. Your warning is here. Like I said, this person's been burned by somebody who's gotten too fucked up. And, honestly, I kind of empathize on that end. If you get up for bong or smoke or whatever breaks every 10 minutes, I will simply pack up and go home. I'm sick of waiting for every bloke to be at the table. This is, again, something, like, this is just proper table etiquette that should be discussed as a group of adults. And, yeah, like, this shouldn't be an issue. But obviously, it has been for this person. And I forgot. I've already read these, and I've already forgotten that this person is proper English. Oh my god, I don't know what that was. Please, I could do better. I could do better English accents than that. I'm honestly a little tired. Number 17. Guidance, divination spells, owls, and whatever spells I decide are too fucking stupid are banned. Outright. No more fucking guidance. This one, when I first read it, I did not understand what the fuck this person's problem was. I still don't know what this person... I still don't understand what this person's problem is. What? How are you going to ban... How are you going to ban guidance? It is such a dumb thing to ban. And how are you going to just ban a whole school of spells? See, that to me just kind of reads as you want to be lazy and not look into how to be a god to the player's character, or some sort of emissary, or however you want to look at it. Because there's different ways to go about that. Even this shouldn't be a problem. I'm like reading it on the side here, and I'm still like, huh? What? Again, I've already said this. This DM needs to not be at a table anymore. They need to not play D&D. They need to just stick to board games, or hell, actually, just stick to video games where people can mute you because you seem like you're not fun. You get one chance at a skill check. If you fuck up, your party doesn't get their chance to do the same check. Think careful who's good at what. That one's not too bad. That one's actually pretty valid. However, there are certain skill checks that are repeatable. If one person tries to break open a box using their physical strength and they fail, what's stopping another person from doing that? That's like a really stupid thing to do. There are times where skill checks are for a one-time event, like social interaction. If you piss someone off, you're not going to unpiss them off unless you have some sort of exchange or transaction happen or something. I forget what it's called, but there's actually this thing. God, it's like a literary device. I think they're called, where characters will have a chance to try to achieve a goal, but if they somewhat fail in the process of getting it, they can get another chance at that at a cost. And yeah, that's kind of what you would have in D&D. I mean, talking to guards who don't know you, who are neutral towards you, but if you happen to say something that's offensive, they're going to get pissed off. You can still try to get something out of them, but at a cost, you know? That's kind of like... It seems simple to me. This rule, it has some sense in it, but it also doesn't. Number 19. Discussions of metagame details in-game will result in instant damage to your character. I actually have a take on this that I think is a bit off from what other people, or most people, will initially think. But I think we all can agree to it to a degree. Yeah. I don't care about metagaming. Except when I do. So, in my opinion, metagaming is not the worst thing in the world. Unless you're using it in a way that really dampers the experience. To be more specific, to define metagaming, it is to bring outside knowledge of the game to your character and utilize it. That goes for a lot of things. For instance, helping another player understand how the mechanics of their character work when that player is really new to the game. That's technically metagaming. Like, say someone who's new has a ranger, but isn't sure of how to use an animal companion. Another player can help them with that regard. Technically, that's metagaming. And that part, I don't give a shit about. That's fine. Help each other out. But, because I like to run pre-written campaigns with my own expansion upon them, I don't want someone to go out and buy the campaign I'm running and then tell everybody what's happening. For instance, I have the book right here. Sorry, I got too close to the mic. I have Curse of the Crimson Throne for Pathfinder 1st Edition. I plan on redoing this with my own rules and expanding upon this campaign with my own subplots based on the characters and my own way of throwing in side missions or side quests that live outside or are of my own creation. But I still don't want somebody to go out and buy that book and be like, oh, well, Queen Iliosa is this, that, and the other, you know? Metagaming to me is okay until it's not. Basically, it's okay to help each other with tactics and help the game and combat run more smoothly, especially with newer players. But I don't want someone to have knowledge of the game and break the game, essentially, or ruin the experience. So, but yeah, I think metagaming is not the worst, and I think we look at metagaming as only one aspect for the most part, when in all reality, it's any outside knowledge. Rule 20. Rules lawyering fellow players is encouraged. Actualing me will just result in me telling you to fuck off. Rules for thee, not for me. That is the definition of unfair. You have a rule against that earlier, like, If anyone calls you unfair, you're just going to walk out. This is an example of this person being an absolute just fucking dog shit, honestly. I do like players keeping other players in check. I myself have had to keep other players in check. As much as I like people encouraging each other to play their characters well, I also want them to play them correctly. A little bit of an anecdote, but I was in a group where a player in my party was having more access to resources than they were allowed. I'm not going to go into specifics, but basically every day they would make something that their character had access to, and they acted as if every day they were just able to keep stockpiling it, when the class itself says you could only have this many available each day. After 24 hours, those other ones go inert. So he kept making a very, very powerful item and had stockpiles of them, because days would go by and he'd be like, oh, every day I made 5, so I have 25 in stock. It's not how that works. You have 5 per day you can use. I'm just throwing that out there. That, to me, is something that needs to keep in check, because we want the challenges to be fair and balanced. I don't want the DM to feel like they just have an encounter that went just way too easily when they spent so much time constructing it. That's not fair to them. It's not fair to me. So, I don't mind characters or players keeping other characters in check for that. But also, the DM is fallible too, so. Rule 21. You roll your dice within view of 2 players who aren't you. Standard. I don't know why I said it that way. You roll them neatly, and you roll them on the table. Failing to do these 3 things will auto-fail whatever roll you did. Arguing that you actually rolled validly when you clearly didn't is an automatic critical fail. I don't know why I added more spice to that one. This is kind of a weird one. Just roll and show people the results. If someone at the table thinks that you're cheating your rolls, I hope they call you out on it. And then punishment like a critical fail could be implemented, but this one, see, there's there's some actual valid, there's actual validity to this rule, but it's the implementation and this person's attitude that I just absolutely hate. Oh my god. Just roll your dice so people can see. Well, actually, roll your dice so people can see them if they need to. I don't think it needs to be that serious. 22. Instant death traps and mechanics are coming into place. If you call these things unfair moving forward, I will laugh at you and tell you to fuck off and cry some more. This is something you bring up at the beginning of the campaign. If auto death is a possibility, you should totally share that with people. I mean, I guess he is. But to tell your players to fuck off and cry... Is this person like a DM for hire that just got sick of it and just started hating everything? Anyway, this seems silly. Number 23. I will not give you random magical items, and vendors will not stock them. They are meant to be rare and hard to acquire. This just seems like a preference thing. Honestly, if that's how you want to run your game, then do that. This rule seems kind of arbitrary. Well, not kind of. It is arbitrary. And that's really up to you. This is like one of those ones that's kind of like neither here nor there. It's fine. That's your table. You run it how you want it. Number 24. Random encounters in the form of random dragons or strange mysterious road trader or a band of goblin prostitutes isn't going to happen. Go play Baldur's Gate 3. Alright, this is going to be the last one we talk about for this video. Really? You don't want to do random encounters? That's fine, honestly. But here's my issue with this rule. You are running the game. You are building the world that this whole thing takes place in. The random encounter generator is not meant to just be like something completely off kilter. It's something that you think fits your world, but could be random to the players at the time. For instance, in one of my games, I had a random generator. I've used a couple. And they would be in a town where, at certain points, I would roll on the table. One of the possibilities was the apparition of a chaos beast. Now, to the players, this might seem really out there. However, there is an underlying reason, and I have it built in. Will the players ever discover it? Honestly, that was something that never was discovered. Luckily, they never had to encounter that one, but that was there, and the possibility for finding out why was also it was tied into it. I feel like this person looked at the random encounter generator and was just like, no, I don't like that. And to throw shade at Baldur's Gate 3? What the fuck? You do realize that the encounters in Baldur's Gate 3 are still tied to the world. In fact, the way they have encounters in that expands on the world that was made. You understand that, right? That's the purpose. Random encounters aren't just meant to be pointless random encounters. They might feel pointless, but technically they have a way of expanding the world. I really don't see why that would be any... I don't see how people can, like, not understand something like that. Well, anyway, that is going to be it for this video. I know this one might be a bit of a long one, and we have... I'm just going to cut it there at number 24. Why did I stop? I should have stopped at 22. What the fuck? What am I doing? Sorry. Well, the next video is just going to have... Oh my god, it's the microphone. Well, the next video will just have the next 20 rules in it. I hope this has been at least a little bit entertaining to you. And, yeah, let me know in the comments below what sort of rules that you like to have at your table, if you DM, or if you're a player, what kind of rules you like to avoid from DMs. Also, discuss these rules. I would love to hear your perspectives on them. I feel like this is something that a lot of us can talk about. Now, look forward to the next video being about this. And, yeah, thank you, and I'll see you in the next video. As always, be good people. Bye-bye.